The Nike Metcon 4XD Whiteboard Edition. 4 things I really liked. Number 1, the durability. I think Nike made a good step in the right direction with the durability of this model. The Nike Metcon 4 was already durable, but they took it a step further with the haptic print up here, the breathable mesh, and then kind of the beefed up material around the heel back here. I think it's going to be a very durable shoe and it's going to last you a while. Number 2, I like the stability of this shoe. Similar to the Metcon 4, this has the TPU heel back here, flatter outsole, very firm, very stable under compound lifts, jumps, sprints, you name it. This shoe is very stable. Number 3, I love the outsole tri-star grooves. I think Nike does a very good job of providing a good grippy outsole on multiple surfaces. Whether you're outside, indoors on rubber, or whatever surface it might be, the shoe does a really good job at providing grip, whether you're moving laterally, backwards, or forwards. Now in terms of aesthetics, I like the whiteboard. I'm not too sure how it's gonna last over a long period of time of sweaty workouts and abrasions from possible barbells and other things in the gym, but from a first take and kind of like that couple first weeks of using it, I dig the whiteboard and I think it's really cool to be able to write on your shoes. As you can see, I use my crappy handwriting on these models. So in respects to cons for the Nike Metcon 4XD, I could see folks having 3 potential issues. Number 1 is the price, and that's always kind of a con on the $130 models. If you're not used to paying that or you want a more budget cross-training shoe, then this model might not be the best pick for you. It does have a lot of durability and stability to it, so if that's what you're looking for, then I think the price is kind of warranted. Second con is heel slip. So similar to other Nike Metcon models, this does have a more pronounced heel back here. It's TPU. The plastic kind of protrudes off the heel, and if you put your heel extremely hard down in any movement, you might experience a little bit of slip on wetter surfaces. Granted, in my performance testing, I've never really had that as an issue. I never slam my heel into the ground to that extent. So it is something to kind of keep in mind when using this model. I don't think it's going to hinder a lot of folks' performance. The third potential con I could see folks having with this model is the tongue. Okay, the outer construction, awesome. Midsole, outsole, awesome for durability. This tongue is made thinner. So now hear me now. We've seen this on other Nike training shoes. A thinner tongue means handle it with a little bit more care. Don't rip on the tongue, don't pull on it with one side only. Make sure the shoe is properly fitted, adjust it accordingly, and be a little bit more careful if you want this shoe to last. All right, let's talk about the topic that's been on everybody's mind, and that's the performance of the Nike Metcon 4XD. So if you've ever worn a Nike Metcon model before, this model is going to feel very similar. The only real difference is that it has a beefed up durability and a little bit of a different outer construction. All in all, it performs very solid under compound movements, sprints, and any other kind of jumping movement you're going to be doing in a cross-training workout. If you've never worn a Nike Metcon shoe, you can expect a stable shoe with a minimal heel to toe drop. The heel is made out of TPU and it's very sturdy under compound movements. In fact, it's one of the most stable cross-training shoes that I've ever used and tested in the gym. And also, I love that the medial and lateral sides wrap up for rope climbing and stuff like that. So if you need a little bit of extra assistance and you like to wrap that rope under your foot, the Nike Metcon model does a great job at supporting that. So who is this shoe best for? In reality, it could be good for a beginner, veteran, anybody really in the gym who needs a shoe for sprints, jumps, or lifts all in one workout. It does a great job at capturing the best features of all of that. Granted, I will note that it's not the most comfortable shoe for long duration runs, but that's not what it's designed for. So in terms of overall performance of the Nike Metcon 4XD, I gave it a 9.2. In respects to price for the Nike Metcon 4XD, you can expect to pay around $130. Now that's pretty standard across new cross-training shoes in the industry, and it's similar to other Nike Metcon models when they've been initially released. Now, this shoe does have a little bit of additional durability to it, to the outer construction, and it does offer that cool whiteboard and chalkboard effect. There are other Nike Metcon 4XD models out there that don't have this, but if you really care about the aesthetic and you really care about the durability of the shoe, then I think the price does fit the bill. All right, let's talk sizing and fit of the Nike Metcon 4XD. So this is a size 10. I have a pretty true to size 10 foot. It's a little bit more narrow. Let's see how this foot fits in this puppy. All right, so one thing I will note is like I usually love the Nike Metcon models because they do fit a little bit more snug, and that's similar to how this is fitting right now. This actually does feel a tad bit wider in the toe box compared to the Nike Metcon 4. Not considerably noticeable, but I do think it has a little bit more of a comfortable feel to it. And I think it might have to do with the outer construction just being a little bit more lax and a little bit more maneuverable and breathable. So in terms of the fit and feeling, fits very snug, similar to the Nike Metcon 4. Where's my toe landing? We have about a 1/2 inch to maybe a 3/4 inch up here. That personally to me is perfect because I like having a little bit of room so I don't toe jab in jumps and sprints. So I think this shoe does fit pretty true to size. In terms of width, fully splaying my toes here. I'm not really limited at all. I don't feel very limited, and I actually love this material in terms of maneuverability and feeling. So one thing to note is that this shoe does fit a little bit more snug. So if you have a wider foot or you're erring on the side of being a little bit bigger in your true to size shoe, I would say maybe go up a half size, but I think for most, true to size will work very well. All right, let's talk construction, the Nike Metcon 4XD. Now, one thing I will say before we begin is I have a Nike Metcon 4 here for context, and I'll bring that in every once in a while when I point out a difference, but for now, I'm gonna keep that off screen. Let's start up here at the toe. So we have a nice toe lip that comes up a little bit off the midsole. I dig this wider toe lip because one, it's a little bit better for durability. There's not as much lipping, especially on the thinner toe lips. The midsole extends up through the medial and lateral side decently well, similar to the Nike Metcon 4. Then we have that midsole that wraps up on the lateral and medial side, similar to the Metcon 4 as well. So in terms of outer construction, we have a haptic print up here and a lightweight mesh. It's very maneuverable, moves very well. In fact, these shoes are incredibly easy to break in. Almost on their first use, they feel really comfortable when it comes to toe reactivity and getting up onto the toe when you're working out, whether it be jumping or sprinting. And then we have 6 eyelets that run up the shoe, 4 of which have the Nike Flywire, and that are these wires here. And what they do is they go under the shoe and they provide stability and a little bit of reactivity to the shoe. And that's similar to the Nike Metcon 4 as well. We have 2 eyelets up here, and then we have a tongue that is breathable and lightweight. As you can see, you can pretty much see my fingers right through, and the tongue is thinner. So as I pointed out in the con section, please be careful with this tongue. Don't break a shoe for no reason when it doesn't need to be broken. This will be a durable model if you treat it that way. Making our way to the back. So we have this whiteboard construction. And one thing I will note, and this is a big difference from the Nike Metcon 4, is there's a much more stark pronunciation of the materials used. So this kind of has the same material that wraps. The 4XD has a very clean cutoff in terms of the heel, especially on the whiteboard and chalkboard editions, compared to the front print. And I think that's cool for durability because they beefed up the material back here. As you can see, we have a nice whiteboard that goes all the way around. We leave it right here with this side on the medial side. In terms of the plastic heel clip, there is no heel clip on the chalkboard and whiteboard edition. It's kind of cut off and pronounced, and that's obviously to leave open a little bit more space for writing on the shoe. The Nike Metcon 4XD, just the normal shoe, does have the heel clip similar to the Nike Metcon 4, but note, the whiteboard and chalkboard edition does not have the heel clip that comes up. Making our way to the heel, we have a plastic TPU layer here. We have a lower cut design just like the other Metcon 4, and it's very firm, very stable shoe. Looking at the insole is designed to have a little bit more of stability back here on the heel and then a little bit softer up here on the toe. And they do this obviously for stability purposes, but also a little bit of reactivity and gripping in sprints and other jumping movements where you need to be up on the toe. The last thing I'm gonna point out about this shoe, which is similar to the Nike Metcon 4, is the outsole. It has the sticky rubber tri-star grooves, and these are typically very grippy on multiple surfaces, and they offer stability. That wraps up our review of the Nike Metcon 4XD Whiteboard Edition. In respects to performance, I thought this shoe did very well. And in respects to the aesthetics, I dig the whiteboard, I'm not gonna lie. I do like to be able to write on my shoes. That way I can show off my crappy handwriting to the world. If you wanna read more on this shoe and my full review, Google BarBend and Nike Metcon 4XD.